in my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
And good evening to everybody. Happy Friday. You made it to the weekend. It is a tall task and a big ask for your Sacramento Kings tonight. The beginning of NBA Cup play against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Kings without DeMar DeRozan, also without Malik Monk. We will talk about it on the other side. It's going to be a fun game. The Kings are going to have to bring it, energy, hustle. They're going to have to play a damn near perfect game, but guess what? They are capable. They are more than capable. Let's get after it. Welcome in to the pregame show on If You Don't Like That.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood, we rise strong and proud. Running up the score, Kings never back down. If you don't like that, this ain't your town.
That beat's got a little bit of something to it. I love it. Welcome back into the pregame show. Ryan in Sacktown with you, getting you ready for the Kings and the Timberwolves tonight. We're brought to you by Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Check out all three of their amazing locations in the greater Sacramento area. Do you not like to cook on Thanksgiving? It's all good. I get it. A lot of football on. Rather spend time with the family, not at the table if you're Napes. You know, we talked about that the other night. Anyways, it's a secret, right? Anyways, do me a favor. Go there. You can check it out. They have hot, ready meals that you can pre-order, pick them up, bring them home. All the work's done for you. Also, if you'd like to go out on Thanksgiving, Bennett's is your place. They will be open. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com for more information. We'll talk about them a little bit more later on in the show. Big ask tonight for your Sacramento Kings. It is a very, very big ask. They are without DeMar DeRozan and without Malik Monk. Coach Brown, about 30 minutes ago, addressed the media. He is not revealing who is going to step into the starting lineup. I've got a couple ideas. You guys can put your ideas in the chat. That's going to be a game time decision for the rest of us. Obviously, the coaching staff knows who that's going to be, but we will keep our eyes peeled as that information will come out closer to tip time, 7 o'clock tonight, 7:07. Technically, a lot going on around the NBA. Also, a lot going on in the world of sports. It's the Paul and Tyson fight. I'm not going to run away from that. I know a lot of you are paying attention to that as well. So certainly you can put your predictions in there if you would like for that as well tonight. However, this is the one we're concerned about. Kings and the T-Wolves. T-Wolves, losers of 3 straight right now. Coming into the G1C, they have had a couple of days of rest. You know, Chris Finch, hell of a basketball coach. He's going to have these guys ready to play, and this is the second time this season that the Kings will see the T-Wolves coming off of a loss. Remember, the T-Wolves opened up in LA, lost that season opener, and came to Sacramento a couple of nights later. Hello, Lydia. How are you, Lids? Hope you're doing well. You know what? Let's go to the chat really quick. Get y'all in here. Let's see. Dennis, let's effing go. I'm with you. It's going to be a tall task. But look, if the Kings bring the energy and they don't have, I'm not even going to call them turnovers, giveaways. they don't give the ball away like they did against Phoenix, there is a path to victory here. Believe it or not, there is a pretty clear path as long as the Kings follow that game plan. We'll talk about that game plan here in a few minutes. In my opinion, Lydia, Timberwolves are going to be tough to beat tonight. Absolutely. They lost twice in a row to Portland. There's a reason for that, too. Portland sped the game up a little bit more. They threw Klingon into the starting lineup, which changed things. And it was one of those funky back-to-backs. So the NBA the last couple seasons has been doing back-to-backs, not in successive nights, but where you play the same team 2 nights or 2 games in a row. This year, they have rolled out with the same thing, but in back-to-back nights. That's a little goofy. You don't even do that in the playoffs. So the Timberwolves, though, as we'll talk about as we get further into the show, they are so reliant on the triple. The 3-ball is their game. And if you remember the first meeting, the Kings did an excellent job of driving them off the 3-point line. In fact, they drove them back. They drove them the opposite direction, which is not a bad thing. And can they do the same tonight? Now, they did it well for 2.9 quarters, and then the wheels came off the wagon. That is when it all went to hell in a handbasket. Anthony Edwards hits 3 triples in a row. Fourth quarter starts, the game's over. But it's a new night. It is a new game. The T-Wolves a 1.5 favorite here in Sacramento. Surprised it's not a little bit more. The line possibly has moved. I will check that as I am speaking. For those just joining us, no, ESPN still has it as a 1.5. Those just joining us, no DeMar DeRozan tonight, no Malik Monk. We knew about that as well. Mike Brown said he does not know, or he's not going to tell us. It's going to be a surprise who steps into the starting lineup for the Kings. Put your ideas in the chat. We will go over them. But Coach Brown talked about what we saw the other night against Phoenix. Did the Kings finally hit on something? Coach Brown watched the film. Here's what he thought.
You just got to keep coaching it, keep showing it. The guys understand that sometimes we overpenetrate, and sometimes we don't get off it on a timely manner. But then also part of it too is, like I said, I have liked the shots we've taken, because it's not like we're coming off of pin downs, jacking them. We come off of DHOs and shoot them, but we've been doing that for 2 years now, going on 3 years. And so the shots that we're getting are good. We can get better shots if we get off the ball, especially when we tap the paint. And that's what we did last night. When we tapped that paint, whether it was off of a drive, off of a roll, and the ball hitting the pocket, even sometimes off of a cut, you feel that second defender pull over, somebody's open. And so that can add to your shot quality in the right direction if we get off those types of shots.
Remember, the Kings shot 53.6 from beyond the arc on Wednesday night. Now, the biggest thing to me, something we've talked about at length, in fact, we talked about it on the pregame show last game, it was about ball movement. And the stat that I am paying the most attention to here is De'Aaron Fox. He only shot 2 threes last game, and he had 10 assists. Now, I don't expect 10 assists, and I probably expect more than 2 threes. But on the season, he's averaging 6.5 threes and 4.7, 4.8 assists. We saw the keys to the castle open up in terms of ball movement, with Fox turning down threes and getting downhill into the hoop. Could that be part of the missing formula? In my opinion, it absolutely is, into the Kings solving their shooting issues. Kevin Huerter, who had a very good night offensively and defensively, also talked about what he saw on the film.
Film on, I think a big indicator of that was how we were getting those shots. I think we did a better job of getting the paint, spraying the ball, a lot of more catch and shoot, kick out opportunities, and that was a big emphasis going into last night. And got 2 more coming up back to back. Obviously, important one tomorrow, so we're getting ready.
Had that started to bother?
There's Kevin Huerter talking about you know what? My bad. Is that the old cut? No, it's not. That's the new cut. He just said Portland. I don't know why he said Portland. He meant to say the T-Wolves. Anyways, congratulations, by the way. This caught my eye. Kitchen Handy, great day. Got a job interview with Sac County. Your sister's having a baby boy. You get to be an uncle. Heck yeah. Congratulations. See if the Kings can top it off with a big victory for you. Haunted Horse talking junk because the Blazers won 2 games in a row. Might be the only time this season they do that, but hey, all good. There's your Kings season numbers right there. Remember, this is an NBA Cup game. What does the NBA Cup mean? It is the exact same as the in-season tournament. Last year, they have rebranded it. The games occur on Tuesday and Friday nights. You will see a different court tonight. It is lighter. It's gray and kind of white, gray beige, whatever you want to call it. And it's a little obscure. It's different. You've probably seen them across the NBA. The Kings is actually not bad to look at. It's okay on the eyes compared to some of the other ones. The in-season tournament, the cup, whatever you want to call it. Look, it's another way to draw eyeballs to the product prior to Christmas. That's when the season really starts for a lot of NBA fans. So, yeah, can you make some extra money if you're a guy on the end of the bench? Absolutely. Do the Kings play a little bit harder? Maybe. Does the crowd get into it a little bit more? They did last year. So all those things will probably come into play, but those come into play both ways. Minnesota is going to be rearing and ready to go as well when it comes to that. In fact, I believe, and they are up there, Portland was their first in-season cup game, and they lost that one. So another key to what the Kings have been doing is figuring out, as we said, the ball movement. But DeMar DeRozan, mixing him into the mix. You do not have DeMar DeRozan tonight. So Coach Brown talking about what the Kings offense needs to look like without DeMar.
We do have in for DeMar, they're more ISO sets, and when he's not here, we don't have much of that. We have some pick and roll things for Foxy where he gets downhill and uses his speed, and it's up to him to either finish and or spray it. And he did not a great job, but a fantastic job of spraying the basketball. I think he started it off for us by hitting somebody in the right wing on one of his pick and roll drives, and it just kind of snowballed from there for the good for us.
With the NBA Cup outside of maybe point.
A shout out to Domas. I'm not sure how many people saw this. He, at one of the games earlier this season, if you were wearing a Domas jersey in the building, there was a group of Kings employees going around and trading out your old Domas jersey and giving you one of the new ones with number 11 compliments of Domas. Dude's a class act. In fact, out of all the Kings, speaking of the NBA Cup, he is the one that probably gets the most excited for this. Now, the one thing to pay attention to when it comes to the Cup is point differential matters. So it comes into play. We saw it last year with the Kings moving on out of the group stage with the point differential. They ultimately they lost, but it was within the points that it needed to be. So do you play the starters a little bit longer? I don't think any of that comes into play tonight. Tonight is just about getting a victory against Minnesota, which is going to be very tough. The Kings have had some issues playing physical without fouling. You cannot get into foul trouble against this team tonight. And on top of that, with being shorthanded, a lot of people think specifically about the offense. You got to start thinking about the defense here. The Kings threw multiple different looks at Anthony Edwards the last time these two teams met up, and now it limits how many different looks that you can throw at them. Unfortunately, all that being said, Coach Brown talked about some of the adjustments that Minnesota is going through with the Julius Randle acquisition, which happened right before training camp. And Julius Randle, the T-Wolves, still trying to get it figured out. They are only 6-6 on the season. Remember, 2-4 on the road. Here's Coach Brown's take on the T-Wolves.
It's difficult. It's not only is it difficult to game plan for them, but also for them to get it going. You look at a team like Dallas adding Clay. to the mix, and it's going to take some time for those guys to figure out rotations and what actually works on the offense end of the floor, what actually works defensively, because not that Clay's a good defender, but they had a really good defender, a specialist in Herb Jones, I think it was, that left last year. So it takes an adjustment for those guys as well as for anybody that's going to play against those guys, because you got to figure out different things.
All right, so let's talk about the T-Wolves for a few minutes and what they like to do and where the Kings may have a few advantages. In their last game against Portland, Randall gave you 20, Gobert 12, 13 for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and 24 for Ant. Ant went 0 of 9 from beyond the arc in that game. Here's the Minnesota stats if you want to give those a look for a second. Speaking of the three ball, it's Minnesota's game right now. That is their game. It is the three ball, and the numbers show that. Minnesota, number 6 in the NBA at 3-point attempts, number 7 in the NBA at 3-point percentage. Field goals and 2-point attempts, not their strong suit. 29% or 29th in the NBA in attempts. And also, check this out, 25th in made 2-pointers. What's that tell us? Now, their 2-point percentage, and this is what it tells me. Their 2-point percentage is 56.3% on the season, which is 6th in the NBA. Minnesota is a team that has no mid-range game at all, and the numbers show it. That is exactly why their 2-point percentage is so high. It is either a 3-pointer or it is in the paint and at the rim. Also, Minnesota does not take good care of the basketball. They are 26th in the NBA when it comes to turnovers. The Kings have a very clear opportunity and good opportunity tonight if they are able to apply pressure. Constant pressure. It doesn't have to be in your face all the time, but you need to have a defender on the ball when they're bringing it up, meeting them at half court, pushing them off of the 3-point line. Minnesota will make mistakes with the basketball if you do that. The Kings are very good. Kevin Huerter, excellent, in fact, at getting tips in that starting lineup, getting deflections. It's really important to what this Kings team does defensively. In fact, Kevin really has stepped up this year on that side of the floor. He was asked, what's the difference this year? Why does it seem like you are being able to be more effective in different areas of the game? Here's what Kevin had to say at practice yesterday.
I think it's always something that I've had in my game. It's just doing it every single game, being more consistent with it. And this coaching staff, especially, us rebounding the ball has been a big emphasis for us. And as we continue to get better offensively and, everyone get more comfortable with each other, I think the assists and all that stuff will come. And for me, it's just trying to play as hard as I can every night.
Defensively, Minnesota's is, you see the numbers here. Overall, defensively, they are not terrible, but here's what I want to point you to with the Kings. The Kings, really, really good from 2-point range. In fact, they are 6th in the NBA, 56, or excuse me, that is Minnesota's. I was going to say the Kings are much better than that. From 2-point range, they have the most made 2-pointers in the league. They are number 1 at 391. Also, their 2-point percentage, number 1 in the league. How about that? 59.8%. 2-point attempts, they're averaging about 54.5 a game. That's good enough for 7th in the NBA. We'll get to the bench in a minute, Wolf. Here's what I wanted to say about Minnesota and their defense. Minnesota is terrible at guarding the mid-range. They are the second worst team, 28th in the league at guarding the mid-range. So there is a clear opportunity for the Kings, and I understand DeMar DeRozan is a massive part of the stats that I just told you about for the Kings, but there's still opportunities for other guys that will be playing tonight, like Keegan Murray, who has shown a propensity to be able to operate in the mid-range. Kevin Huerter, who we just heard from, excellent the last couple games from the mid-range, but more than just the mid-range, these guys can cut. Constant movement tonight is going to be very important on offense. Ball movement, constant movement with the personnel on the court, because you have to make Minnesota guard on both ends. Minnesota's three ball, again, it's what they live and die by. They average per game 40.9 threes. It's where it's at. So if the Kings can do a decent job of guarding that three-point line, apply pressure, turn them over, and the Kings need to take care of the ball themselves, and also not fall in love with the three ball. Take good three balls where you're touching the paint, spraying it out, keeping the ball moving, taking the shots that you saw in the Phoenix game. The Kings could win this. Now, when it comes to the rebounds, Minnesota, they're middle of the pack rebounding, 22nd in the NBA with offensive rebounding. Well, guess what? Phoenix was 28th. They averaged 8.5 offensive rebounds per game. And what did they do against the Kings? 19 last game. So the Kings really have to make sure that they lock down the boards tonight, find a way to try to get to the free throw line. But again, steals, Minnesota 26th. They're fourth worst in the NBA at stealing the ball. Or they are fourth worst at the NBA in allowing steals from their opponents. So again, things the Kings do well. Things the Kings usually do well can be applied to this game, but do not take for granted the fact that Chris Finch is going to have his Minnesota Timberwolves team ready to play tonight. As for the bench, Furious, it's going to be all hands on deck. All hands on deck in this one. There's no other way to put it. Now, when it comes to who's going to start, and as we get closer to the start of the game, we'll probably find out who Mike Brown is going to insert. In his pregame press conference, he was not willing to tell the media who that was going to be. Yes, deflections are everything. That's what I was talking about. But he did not say who's going to start. Regardless of who starts, you're going to see a little bit of everybody tonight. You've got to. And that's part of, I think, the formula to beat Minnesota. You're going to have to go deep into the bench. You are going to have to keep showing different looks to Julius Randle, different looks to Anthony Edwards. It's just how it's going to be. You're going to have to frustrate them. Now, the guy that you think of the most is Keegan Murray. He is going to be the person that, what's that? Ryno said, be good with the ball. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be good with the basketball tonight. If you turn the ball over to Minnesota, who's averaging, what are they in the NBA? They're 17th in the NBA in steals. Get out of here. They're 26th in the NBA themselves with turnovers. So points in the paint. That's big. Another big thing, and I know I'm hitting you with a million things. Minnesota does not like to play fast. They do not like that. The Kings can play fast. That's what saved them in the fourth quarter against Phoenix. So you have got to speed that game up. And the things that we are talking about, taking care of the ball, turnovers, deflections, making sure you are putting pressure on Minnesota, all those things will speed up the game in the Kings' favor if they come out and handle their business. But I'm not going to lie to you again. As I said off the top of the show, this is going to be a tough ask for the Kings tonight. This is going to be a very tough ask, but there is a clear path to victory here, regardless of the bench. You probably don't win this game, by the way, if you don't get at least one 20-point scorer off the bench, whether it's Trey Lyles, whether who's going to start tonight. Nobody's put that in. Who do you guys? I want to get your opinions before I tell you who I think should start tonight. But who do you think should step into DeMar's starting role tonight? Put your ideas in the chat. Ryno said, be good with the ball. Indeed. Even if we don't make 11 to 15 3-pointers for the game, we are okay if we go to the free throw line. Well, without DeMar DeRozan for the second half of last game, and granted, he didn't get to the line hardly any in the first half of the Phoenix game, the Kings were able to get 17 free throws. You're going to have 20-plus free throws tonight if you're Sacramento. Pump fake's going to be big. This is a game where you have got to go through Domas. And speaking of turnovers, I talked about it yesterday on the Kings court. Domas, he cannot make mindless turnovers tonight. He had 2 of them against Phoenix that were just bad decisions he normally doesn't make, and they were late decisions. Conversely, He hesitated a little bit more last game than he normally does with the jump shot, with the 3-point shot. There can be no hesitation from Domas tonight. Domas has to pull the open shots, whether it is a mid-range jumper, whether it is a 3-pointer, he's got to pull those tonight. Now, De'Aaron Fox, that's the wild card. I want to still see him get to the paint because that's what opened everything up. Whether he gets to the free throw line or he kicks it around, that is what opens up this Kings offense. So what do his 3-point numbers look like? What is the right amount of attempts for De'Aaron? I think anywhere between 4 and 6 should be the maximum amount of attempts that you see from De'Aaron Fox from beyond the 3-point line. Could that change tonight? Probably with DeMar out, but something to watch indeed. Kings need 15 to 20 points from Herter. Agree. Absolutely. You're going to have to, I think you need to have 4 of your 5 starters in double digits. And probably 3 of them need to be 20-point scorers without DeRozan. So I think this could be a big game for Sabonis. Minnesota has a very hard time with Domas. So make sure that you put him right dead in the center of your game plan for tonight, and we'll see. Keon is going to start. Dennis says, is that what's out, Dennis? I got to check now. Check my phone, see if there is any updates on who will be starting. Yes, here we go. Alex Len is starting tonight. So Alex Len and Domas getting the start tonight. There you go. Just got the text message. Alex Len. So your starting lineup is going to be Keegan Murray, Domas, Alex Len, Kevin Herter, and De'Aaron Fox. Jaden McDaniels getting the start for Minnesota. You've got Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, and Mike Conley. Mike Conley is a couple years past his prime. In fact, Mike Conley, to me, has not looked very good this season. Pressure the hell out of Mike Conley tonight. Put the pressure on him. Let's go. And don't do, I want to see some zone defense mixed in, but I do not want to see the trap all the time like we saw against Trey Young. So yeah, look at this. Alex Len and Sabonis. Yeah, it's because of Gobert and Randall. That is why they're going with it. Gobert and Randall. That's, I thought it was going to be Trey Lyles or Alex Len. So I thought it was probably going to be Trey. But there you go. Alex Len getting the start tonight. This would be such a huge game for the Kings just if they were able to. And again, this is a game where expectations are low. And usually when expectations are low, the Kings usually thrive. They do better. So if they can just get the crowd behind them, if they can play hard, I can promise you this team will have a chance tonight. Not telling you they will win, but if the Kings play hard, they will definitely have a chance tonight. Again, there's your Kings season numbers if you want to look those over. We're getting ready for tip-off here in Sacktown. Kings and the Timberwolves coming up from the G1C. It's going to be a fun night there. You know what else is going to be fun? Weekend brunch this weekend at Bennett's. Do me a favor. Go check out Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Look at their 3 beautiful locations in the greater Sacramento area. The West Side Grill, the newest of the 3. All 3 will have brunch this weekend. Great weekend brunch special. 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne. Under $50. Also, you've got weekend prime rib Friday, tonight, Saturday, and Sunday. And don't forget about their weekday specials. You can check those out on the website. Bennett's is going to be taking pre-orders for their Thanksgiving meals. Hot, fresh, and ready for you to pick up. Take the work out of your hands and put it in theirs and get an awesome Thanksgiving dinner. If you want to go eat there too, they will be open. What I'm saying, go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Check out everything they have to offer. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. Also, you can put your online orders in right now to go from the website. So huge thanks to them for sponsoring the pregame show tonight. And when you go in, do me a favor. Tell them that you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That. All right, let's go to the phones. I wonder who's here. I have not looked. It is our dude, Jay. Hey, what's up, my man?
Hey, I just had a question. You said Len and Sabonis were starting tonight?
Yep.
I'd like to see that because that's what I was thinking. You already know I like to look at the game plan and stuff, and I was wondering if they were going to do that. So I just joined, and you said they were going to do that. But, UConn should probably swap me out for Dan Hurley or something, or if San Antonio needs someone to step in for Popovich, I'm right here. Because just watch. This game is going to be a good game. I think the Kings are going to come out with high intensity. I think the shooting carries over. And, when you look at Monk and DeRozan out, you're looking at 2 20-point scores. Either guy can go off for 20 either night. But if we're shooting like we were the previous night, and you look at the stat line with DeRozan with 2, I think it's very possible that we can score 120-something points without those guys tonight. And I think Sabonis had 11 that night. So you might not have Kevin Huerter dropping 22. He might drop 16, but Sabonis, I can guarantee you, isn't going to drop 11 again. He'll drop higher than that. So it'll balance out for sure. And I do think DeRozan is expected to return tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, because it's back-to-back and we could use some fresh energy, especially from the scoring point of view. I just hope that the coaching staff isn't going for a loss tonight and a win tomorrow mentality. I hope they're going for a win-win mentality.
They're definitely not going for that. Coming off the momentum, Jay, that they had, they played without DeMar in the second half and without Malik, and I know Phoenix was undermanned. I know they were on the second night of a back-to-back, but the Kings have played Minnesota really well the last 6 games of this series. And as I said about 10, 15 minutes ago, Minnesota has a very hard time with Domas. And that was before Domas has started stepping into the mid-range jumper. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be high energy. Energy is the way that you have to beat them. You have to make them work on defense because they work their asses off on offense because there's so much ISO ball. Ton of ISO ball. You've got to have guards that are physical and getting through the screens tonight. So for me, this does not feel like a Doug McDermott game. This feels like a Keon Ellis game. This feels like a Jordan McLaughlin game. Exactly. You got to have guys that are getting through the perimeter screens.
And you have to be fast because they're fast too. And you got to play all 4 quarters. You can't really take any quarters off with this kind of team. We saw what happened last game. So you got to 100% effort through the end. They're going to come out with a little vengeance. They're on a 3-game losing streak, but I think we're coming out with a vengeance too because we know we should have had them first game. So, all right,
brother. Be well.
You too.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you. Our man Jay thinking he needs Dan Hurley's job. My man Jay, I love his confidence. Good for him. Shoot your damn shots. Dougie Buckets gets no buckets. Doesn't matter. Yes, you want it to go in, but you realize a couple of games ago when Doug came in before Trey Lyles in the first quarter and Doug was firing away, that was a message to the team. And that was a message to Trey Lyles specifically that he needed to pick his game up. But I go back. My name is Jeff. I like your screen name. Good job, by the way. Good job. You have to go back to the ball movement. The ball movement has been the problem. I do not think the shooting's gone away on this team. I think it is a lack of rhythm. The ball has energy. Been talking about it for a couple of weeks. You saw that in Phoenix. Let's see if that carries over. You need a closer night when it comes to 3-point attempts and assists to what you saw against Phoenix for De'Aaron Fox than what we saw against Toronto, what we saw when De'Aaron went 0 for 11 from beyond the arc. Those are, I think that has been the cog in the ball movement with the Kings offense because Coach Brown, in fact, he was asked after the game, and Matt George, he was the MVP of the press last game because he asked the 2 questions that I would have specifically asked if I was in the building. He said, was tonight Fox's performance what you need from Fox going forward, or was that a product? Was that a part of the game plan because of a matchup? Coach Brown said, no, That's what we need for Fox. Fox has plenty of time in his career to shoot threes. And I know he's a decent shot from beyond the arc in his career, but the speed, he was so fast one play against Phoenix. He was too fast for himself. He blew the layup. He didn't even realize how fast he was going. You need that, especially against Minnesota, who does not like to play fast. Again, you make them work on defense, it affects their offense because they are so isolation based. You've got to swing that ball around. I gave you the stats before the Phoenix game where I said the Kings were shooting 41.7% when the ball moved for 6 or more seconds this season. And we saw the product of that against Phoenix as well. So a lot of stuff, or a lot of good stuff going in this one tonight. Don't forget, this is just the beginning of the night for us at the intermission. Come on back. Jerry Reynolds will be here. We'll be breaking down the first 24 minutes, and we will go over our keys to the second half. Hopefully, we are talking about a competitive game, and then the flagship, the big show, the post-game show. Right after the game, Napes and I will be taking your calls. We will kick off the weekend with all of you, hopefully talking about the beam being lit with another dub in the Kings' back pocket and the Wolves on a 4-game losing streak. So we will see. Give me your final scores. What are your predictions for tonight? Romanowski, Fox, 30-10. Kings need every game. Not realistic, Romanowski. Yes, the Kings need that every game, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. He's still navigating the finger. I'm not worried about the 30-10. I know where De'Aaron's going to be in terms of the scoring. I am worried about the backside, the assists, and I'm more worried about the turnovers. The turnovers for him and Domas this year have been way too high, and they've many of them have been unforced. And this is at a time where the burn rate on those guys is much lower. The burn rate last year was way higher. And by burn rate, I mean the amount of time the ball has been in their hands and being asked to make a play. Both were in the top 20 in turnovers last season. But for Domas on the season to be averaging, where are we at? Turnovers. Our guy, that's Minnesota. I want the Kings. I could put it up on the big screen. Domas is averaging De'Aaron 3.4 turnovers per game. Domas is at 3.3 turnovers per game. And it's too much considering the fact that you have so many other creators now on the floor for the Kings. I expect it to come down as they get more into the season and get a better flow. Again, it's only the Kings' 13th game. Only the 13th game. Romanowski, T-Wolves, 114. You went backwards. Dude, you went backwards on me.
Damn!
You know what's going to happen if you do that with Grant. You ain't going to be happy about that. Furious, 120, 112. I like it. Fortunately, I don't see the Kings winning this one. DeMar Malik out hurts. Fair enough, Edward. Let's see. Keegan gonna be aggressive on offense. Love it. Finchy, 117, 111. Speaking of the T-Wolves, they have been a little constipated offensively. Last game, they only scored 98 points. In fact, if we look at their schedule, let me go to that really quick. Their last few games scoring 98, 108, and 94. 94, 108, and 98. Little bit of constipation there. Put pressure on that. Make them shoot hard shots. So, yeah, absolutely. Amen, Dennis. Part of the formula for me. Remember, I'll go over the keys again. I know Katie does her keys, and I have no idea what her keys are going to be. But when I look at this, we have already talked about the ball movement. The ball movement absolutely needs to be what it was like against Phoenix. I think De'Aaron needs to have more assists than 3-point attempts. More assists than 3-point attempts for the team to win tonight. Also, you've got to push Minnesota off of the 3-point line. They do not like shooting mid-range jumpers. Make it tough for them. They either shoot it from beyond the arc or they shoot it in the paint. They, again, in the standings in the NBA, they are 6th in 3-point attempts, 7th in 3-point percentage. However, in 2-point attempts, they are 29th in the NBA. Now, defending the 2, they are not good at it. They allow, if you look at their opponents, they're 28. They are the second worst team in the NBA, giving up 2-point attempts. So what that tells me is the Kings need to play fast. They need to be cutting. The ball needs to be moving, and you got to go through Domas. Turnovers, Minnesota, awful. Awful, awful, awful. They are averaging per game 16.8, 26 in the NBA. You've got to turn them over. You need to covet the ball. As Dennis said, keep them off the offensive boards, but the pace is so important tonight. The pace and the physicality without fouling. That's so important. So Lydia, 109, 107. All right. I love it. We're getting closer. Don't forget, Jerry is here at halftime. Looking forward to that. I'm so glad we didn't have to talk about Roy Al. Oh, I've hit that on my last 2 Kings courts. It was bad. Did you guys hear De'Aaron today? It was pretty funny. De'Aaron had not seen Roy Al yet, and we got his live reaction to seeing Roy Al for the first time. This was De'Aaron's reaction.
You're releasing a mascot?
For when you do the city edition.
Oh, I have not seen it.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'll make sure to show it to you.
I want to say I have not. For the jerseys, we got a new mascot?
We got a new mascot
It's,
just for the jersey.
Oh, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Meet Roy Al.
His name is Roy Al.
Roy Al. Yeah.
He looks like he'd work at a fast food restaurant.
Right? Roy Al has a little bit, he's got a few different elements to him. I'm just saying. He's got more than a few different elements to him. Things creepy, first off. I don't have time to go into a full take. But he's got some of the Brooklyn Brawler when he had the WWE like baseball gimmick, right? He's got a little bit of big boy, right? A little bit of big boy. Definitely is some of Brutus, right? And he's got the huggy wuggy kind of vibe to him. Just the, you know, and look at the teeth. The teeth look like Roy Al's crown. Look at that. What a creep. What were the Kings thinking? Slamson is the man. I don't want to upset anybody's stomachs. I know it is almost game time. We will be back at halftime. Make sure you join us. We have the one and only, our favorite, Jerry Reynolds, here at the intermission. Grant will be here as well. We will be breaking down the first half. You have the keys to the game. It's pretty simple. Energy. Be better than the Timberwolves. You've got to be better in that department. Other than that, enjoy the first half. We will see you right back here on If You Don't Like That at the end of the first 24 minutes. So long.